time to join this session. Please, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, thou art.
Okay, thank you. So moving on, I plan to have a ice-breaking session before, but Chilo has, done a wonderful job. So I'll just move on. And as I said, my name is Mayowa Omotunde. Today we'll be having a session to introduce, maybe not introduce, but talking about design thinking in its simplified form. And yeah, I would I would like us to drop in the chat if like to know our knowledge about design thinking. Is this something new to you? Are you familiar with it? Do you use it in your daily work and the like, so that we have an idea of your experience level on the topic?
Maya, if you're speaking, you're muted. Hi, Maya, can you hear me? If you're speaking, you're muted. Give me 1 second. Okay, Maya, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. So I'll just do a little introduction about myself and the courses I'm passionate about. So I would like this session to be a bit interactive so that, it will be sort of practical and everyone can participate. So yeah, for this session, we'll be addressing a challenge as we go through the design thinking process. So the challenge is you have been employed by the NURTW to develop an effective payment solution for downfall bus fares. How would you approach the problem? So I'm assuming everyone is a Nigerian here. So NURTW is an association for road and transport workers, and downfall buses. If you are not a Lagosian, most there are some buses here in Lagos that they are referred to as downfalls, and it's a means of transportation. So yeah, again, the challenge, you have been employed by the NURTW to develop an effective payment solution for downfall bus fares. How would you address how would you approach the problem? So moving on, what is design thinking? I'll refer to the design thinking process as a human-centered approach to problem solving. the key here is human centered because it's centered around the users. So going back to our challenge now, the problem that we are addressing is centered around the users, right? So as much as the design thinking process is used by designers, maybe in the tech industry, it's not restricted to designers alone. Everyone in the product development cycle should be a design thinker, whether you're a product manager, a developer, a product owner. Aside even the tech industry, design thinking is employed in other industries as well. So even solving social development issues, right? You need to approach it from a human-centered perspective because everything boils down to the users or your customers. You don't want to design or develop a solution that nobody wants. You don't want to design the next big smart idea that is just left dormant, right? There are a lot of products out there that are not being used after spending lots of money, developing the products. You find that they don't really have a product market fit. So the design thinking process uses this framework, the empathize, the define, ideate, prototype, and test, which we'll be looking at in this session. Basically, the design thinking process, as I've tried to explain, emphasizes understanding the needs of the users. So for you to understand their needs, you have to put yourself in the shoes of the users, right? Understand empathize with them, understand the problem. You can't really solve a problem that you don't understand, right? A lot of people jump into the solution space before even addressing the problem. When they are met with a problem, they're already thinking of what's what's the solution, right? Other than that, you can spend time in the problem space trying to understand what what the problems you want to address entails. And as much as possible in this session, I'll be relating the design thinking process to the lean product process. Like the design thinking process, also another methodology that people use when developing products, not just in the tech space, right? They want to iterate fast, develop a solution and put it out in the market, right? And whether it's being said or not, during the development phase, the goal of any product or service is to achieve market fit. Like it means being developing a solution that is good and also having the right market for your product, right? You can develop a good solution, but you don't have, maybe currently it's not meeting any particular need. It looks fine and flashy, or it looks like the next big thing, but nobody is demanding for it, or there are already alternatives in the market that are solving that need. So everything starts with empathizing, like understanding your users. So this is the product market fit pyramid, and we can easily relate it with the design thinking process. Here we have two stages, the products and the markets. In the market, we have target users and underserved needs, while under the product side, we have value proposition, feature sets, UX. So for this, to first understand your market, right, you have to know your users, which would you be able to know when you advertise with them, defining your target customer, carrying out your research to find out their underserved needs, right? Because the there's never too much solutions. There are some products in the market that they're already competitive, right? Say for instance, detergents. There are a lot of branded detergents out there, but still there's a market for it. So you need to understand the underserved needs of the You need to understand the underserved needs of the users. You see different detergent producers coming out from different perspectives. They'll say, oh, this my detergent is best for Ankara. If you use my detergent, your no matter how much you soak your Ankara in the detergent, it won't wash off. Others might be something else. It might be that maybe it's good for jeans or whatever perspective they want to come out from. It might not even, for some, they might decide that it's not even the detergents that matters, though it will serve their need. Maybe they want to go in the branding perspective, make it look fine or whatever their focus is. Depends, or everything depends on their research and the underserved needs that they find in the market, right? So you have to first solve the market issue first before you go into a product. You don't want to develop a product that nobody, like going waking up and you feel that, oh, this is the product I want to develop. You need to do your research, make due diligence, do your due diligence and find out what's needed in the market. So that's where the empathize process comes in when we are talking about design thinking. And how do you start the design thinking process, right? You do your research, you conduct interviews, you relate with people that people that are having these problems, right? You relate with them. That's when you are able to empathize with them and help. It's even in the research phase that you are able to uncover unmet needs, right? You might probably have an idea of the problem, but when you talk to real users, real people using that product, you'll be able to identify unmet needs like I showed us earlier, right? The underserved needs of the market. So be able to uncover unmet needs or pain points that those affected by the problem might not even be aware of, or they might not even be able to articulate. They might have the problem, but they might not even be able to articulate that this is a problem. So it's when you're talking to them that you're able to identify such problems. So from the graphics we have here, not necessarily ruling out the need of analyzing competitors' products, right? But your first move when empathizing with users, it's not really to put in mind competitors' products. Your goal is to make what's in the market even better, right? So first you should conduct your interviews, like meet people, as I've said earlier, meet people that have these problems and understand their own perspective first before um, going on to analyze competitors' products. But also, yeah, this can apply for new products, right? You don't have a product yet, basically. So yeah, you need to first do an interview. But other times, like the design thinking process is not a linear process, right? There are sometimes you need to skip some parts. So your product has been launched already or your service, you are looking for a way to make it better. You can decide then to check out what others are doing and maybe do it right and still combine it with the user interviews, right? You not necessarily you just have to understand your needs and both your market need or your product need and aligning it with what the users need as well. So when you have a working product or a product that has been launched, you can continuously iterate and maybe analyze the products of your competitors in the market. But if you are looking to be innovative, you shouldn't dwell solely on what your competitors are doing and trying to replicate it. Sometimes it can be like you are replicating the problem. So going back to our challenge, let me see. I'm coming. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Oh, please give me a minute. Let me restart this. Okay. Okay. I think I'm fine here. Yeah. So going back to our challenge, if you've been employed by the NURT to develop an effective solution for downfall boss, how would you approach the problem? I'm putting it out to everybody now. If I'm guessing everyone now understands like the term NURTW and downfall boss phase. And can we drop in the chat if you've had an experience with downfall bosses? Right now we can't go out, we can't leave this call to go out and ask real users, right? But based on our experience, do we have people here that have had experience like commuting with downfall bosses? Can I see the chat? Please drop it in the comments. Okay. Okay, you can just react or maybe leave a comment if okay. So yes, if you're the employed one here, right? Based on the few things I've said, how would you like what would be your first approach in addressing the problem? Please, I want answers in the comments. You've been employed by the NURTW to develop an effective payment solution for downfall bus fares. How would you approach the problem? So far, I've talked about yeah. So far, I've talked about the empathize phase. So, how would you approach the problem? You can unmute. If you want to speak, please feel free to unmute so that we'll hear your perspective. Chilo, are they allowed to? Do they have the right to unmute now, or do you need
Yes,
to?
yes, they
Okay,
do. But please, before you unmute, please raise your hand, and
okay,
I will give you the go ahead, please. Thank
all
you.
right. Blessings and is up.
Blessing, you can unmute.
Okay, so for me, based on what we've learned so far, is to conduct a research. Probably people that usually download bottles often to get
Yeah,
a perspective of how they pay their fares and on payment solutions. Yeah, that's it.
okay. Thank you,
Please, can you hear
Blessing.
me?
Thank you for that wonderful contribution. Yes, I can hear you, Blessing. Thank you, Blessing. Anyone else want to go? Okay. Miracle says, Danfo drivers are always angry, but I'll try to find out the payment method they are currently using, challenges with the current method, and take it from there. That's good. Thank you, Miracle. Anyone else? Okay, Vanessa. Vanessa's hand is up. Blessing, your hand is still up. Oh. Okay.
Okay, so first of all, I'll find out the their problem, their issues, the problem that the customers are having.
Okay.
Then after finding out the problem, then I'll find out a way, like
We can't hear you again, Vanessa. Or is it just me?
No, you're not the only one.
Okay.
Um, Seems she's having network issues.
Okay. You can also drop your comments in the chat. Okay. So I don't know if Vanessa can hear me. You can drop your comments in the chat while we move on. So we've had great submission so far. Like everyone's contributed. Everyone's contribution has been amazing. Like to empathize with them to solve the problem. The first step is to carry out a research, speak with the affected people or those that make use of the product, right? So first, what people that you want to speak with, you need to identify every stakeholder um, in this system that makes use of the NURTW. Like if anyone here is familiar with it, know that that association is a blessed association. You have the driver, the conductor, the passengers as well are also a stakeholder in the system. And I'm not really familiar with that part, but there are some. Yes, we have even the Agberos, they are stakeholders in the NURTW system, to the best of my knowledge. And the Agberos too, they have people that they are reporting to, that they make remittances to. So everyone is a stakeholder in the system, right? You'll find that the Agberos too, they have a they contribute towards how much bus drivers are going to charge you, because they have to put it just basic economics. They have to account for the money that they are going to give to agberos as well when calculating their prices, right? So the the agberos bosses and every other person, they are also stakeholders in this system. So yes, you carry out your research. You need to speak with the passengers, right? What how do they currently pay their fares or access the downfall buses? Like being open-ended. You don't want to being open-ended, right? You don't want to be biased in your approach, right? So let's talk about the let's talk about the interview process, right? When you walk up with someone, most likely you might not know them, or it might be someone you are familiar with. So you need to start on a level ground with them, ask questions. You're not just empathizing with your users alone. Even when conducting your user interviews, you need to empathize with your users, right? Maybe you'd have booked a time ahead with them that, okay, I just need 5 minutes of your time. I just need 10 minutes of your time. I understand you are busy. I won't take much of your time. And if they have ample time to spend with you, fine. But yeah, whatever their decision, right, you have to be considerate with them as well. So yeah, you approach them. You're not just concerned about the answers that you want to get from them, right? You need to show concern to them. Oh, how's been your day? Oh, and even while empathizing with them, there are some things you might draw out, right? Oh, you're just coming back from work. How's your day? Or maybe from the interviewee's answer, she might be like, I had a stressful day. It even became worse after close of work when I entered the downfall bus and I had to struggle for my change with the conductor or something like that. So sometimes while empathizing with them and finding out about them, not even concerned about the questions you've written down to ask them, right? There are some insights you might draw from merely having a conversation with them. So yeah, ask ask them about their welfare, but don't spend too much time asking about their welfare, right? You need to limit that and go into the main questions that you have. And and it's very important that you put away bias when you're talking with them, right? If you already have some preconceived notion about this the way it works, try to put it aside. Don't ask them questions based on don't ask them questions like I know the payment system is stressful, I know collecting change is stressful. Be bias free. Just ask them open-ended questions like, oh, how do you make payments? So it's when they're answering those questions that you would find out the loopholes, the challenges, or maybe there are some things currently that it's working fine, right? Sometimes everything might not be bad, even though you are trying to make the process better, right? There are some things that based on the information they gave you, you can still make you do with it in your solution or try to refine. So yeah, you talk to the passengers, you talk to the driver, they will have a different perspective. The like Miracle said, Danfo drivers are always angry. They might maybe when you talk to them, you might even empathize with them and understand why they are angry. It might not be you causing the anger. Maybe it's Nigeria that is causing the anger. Maybe they're just frustrated about the whole system, maybe fuel prices and all of that. So when you talk to every stakeholder involved, you understand the perspective they are all coming from. And when you are designing solutions, you're not just empathizing with passengers alone, because yeah, it's very important to talk to every stakeholder, because while you are designing for to make the system better for passengers alone, the solution you come up with might not be good for the drivers or might not be good for conductors. Or in Nigeria, you find out that sometimes the system enables bad behavior. The solution you come up with might try to eliminate the job of conductors, and there will be people fighting you again about that. So you just build a solution that it's good but nobody wants to use it, or it's good but people still want the bad system that is in place. Do you get? So you need to carry out your research and find out the understand the needs and pain points of all the stakeholders involved. So yeah, let me move on to the ideate phase. So next, we'll be talking about the define phase rather. So yeah, it's in the defined state that you find out the or you would curate the underserved needs, and you can only get those underserved needs after you've spoken with your stakeholders or carried out the needed research in the empathize phase. So yeah, so defining your problems, you need to come up with a problem statement, not jumping into the creating user personas, right? You need to first flesh out the problem. Like, okay, what's the problem that you've identified in the what's the problem that you've identified in the market? In the defined state, you are stating your users' needs and your problems. You are trying to organize the information you've gathered during the empathize phase, stage, coming up, talking with potential stakeholders, and maybe after that you can then consider seeing checking what competitors are doing. That's if there are other competitors looking to solve that problem. So for this NURTW system now, who can we say their competitors are? Who are some of their competitors in the market? Do you think they have competitors? Please drop your comments in the chat. Can you identify any competitor for the NURTW system? Can you identify competitors? Please let me know in the comments. Or you can raise your hand to speak. Anybody? Wow. Airpiece. Wow. Such such a big. You didn't even start small. Airpiece. Wow. Wow. That's nice. Any other money points? Nice. I like that. Miracle. Thank you for that. Any other competitors come to mind? Anybody? Pampe. Mm, I like the angle Miracle is coming from. Any other competitor? Right? Any other competitor? Yeah. So who are currently, if you're familiar with the NURTW, if you're just joining, if you're familiar with the NURTW system, who do you think are their competitors in the market? Keke. Okay. All right. Thank you. So yeah, we've had good submissions. BRT, Keke, Money Points, Pampe. Yeah, we can say Uber, Bolt, InDrive, Rider, and the likes, right? And yes, if you look at it in a different aspects, Money Points, Pampe, they are also good competitors. You can have, I think during the was it during that time that money was scarce, there were some, maybe a few drivers started using POS, or they make use of transfer to collect payments during that period. So yes, there are also good competitors in that aspect to enable payments in to improve the payment collection process when you make use of downfall buses, right? So you can check out those competitors and see what they are also doing, and maybe to also refine your own solution and come out with a better angle, or come out with a better solution than what's currently in the market, because you don't just want to be another Uber or another Bolt or another service provider, right? Uber have their own target audience, both have their own target audience. Both can be competing in the price angle, right? Uber in the luxury aspects. You have other competitors like Rider and InDrive that are competing um, in the, how will I put it, in the aspects where they'll offer you better prices or cheaper prices compared to Uber. Though that though it can be, it's not totally certain, but yes, that's what they sell to you, that will offer you cheaper prices. And why they're offering you cheaper price, there might be other things that they will cut off, like you might order for a ride on InDrive, and when the rider gets to you, you might not, or might tell you, oh, my AC is not working and all of that. But Uber would likely fine their drivers if you don't offer their customers AC or some other things that are in their package, right? So different problems, different solutions. There's no one size fits all when you are addressing problems like that. You have to be, open-minded. You have to think outside the box when trying to come up with solutions. You ask yourself, have you really thought out of the box? Do you really understand the problem well enough? You might even find out that you don't need to maybe create another the solution from the perspective you are coming from. Maybe you don't need to create another Uber or Bolt, right? It might just be still maintaining, everything doesn't have to be digitized. It just making sure that the process is efficient. It can just be that they need the driver needs a POS machine or something outside the box. It might not be the collection process that is the problem. It's just the problems you can identify there can be enormous. You can find like 5 different problems in the whole while carrying out your research. It doesn't mean that you would solve everything, but identifying the problems is the first step. That's when you can define your process. Identifying the problems that the every stakeholder is going through in the system is the first step to addressing the problem and coming up with a solution. So moving on, still on problem statements. Yeah, can you hear me? Still on problem statements. You need a problem statement when defining the problem, right? You need a problem statement to make it to make it easy to identify every loophole that is in the problem you are trying to address. So the common structure is usually these 5 W's. Who is affected by the problem? We've addressed that. We've identified some stakeholders like the drivers, the conductors, the agberos, passengers, and every other stakeholder involved. Through your research, you've understood possibly sometimes maybe the first time might not be you might not identify all the problems. So like I mentioned earlier, the design thinking process is not a linear approach. There are sometimes like that you have to come back to each phase, maybe go back to the empathy stage or go back to the define stage, right? So yeah, you would possibly find out what the problem is after speaking with the stakeholders involved, find out where does this problem occur. So you can say in the bus, most likely, or whatever problem you discover. It's not a one size fits thing. When does the problem occur? Or maybe why transporting? Why is the problem important? So in this phase where you're looking at why the problem is important, right? You've probably listed about 5, 10 problems that they are currently facing, and to meet product or to achieve product market fit, you don't necessarily have to address all the problems. You just need to find that one thing that you will make you stand out in the market. You know, sometimes when you're looking to, you find a lot of products that they are trying to address so many things at once. You find out on the same app, you can buy food stuff on the same app, you can order for ride, like lots of things, and it just makes the user experience journey tiresome for users. So you need to define, that's where the problem statement comes in, like defining the problem, and then it will take you to the next process of ideating. So defining the problem, why is the problem important, will help you choose the one you want to focus on, or the most pressing one, or the one that maybe your technical team or your research team or whatever, because it might not be a digital product, it might be a physical product, whatever team that will undo the or help you resolve the problem. You need to identify whether you have the technical manpower to solve the problem, or there is one that is less technical, or maybe for your MVP you rather focus on this. After pushing it to the market, then you can come back to try and solve the other ones. So that's where the this structure comes in. You've defined which problem is important to you, to the users rather, and what will make you achieve market fit, right? So you come up with a problem statement in this format. It's usually structured to combine both the users, the needs, and the problem you are trying to, or the solution that you are trying to solve rather. So say for instance, as a passenger, I want to be able to pay pay for my bus fares with ease, so that I will not have to quarrel with conductors. Or same challenge that we just try to address. Someone can say, oh, I'm not addressing um what's it called, the passengers problem. I want to address the agberos problem, so that they will not be disturbing drivers on the road. So it might be, as an agbero, I want to be able to collect my remittance from drivers, so that whatever they want to achieve, you get. So that one statement will give you a focus. You know what you are focused on solving, and you will not just be battling with a blanket problem. And most times when you have so much problems to solve, you find that you are working on a product 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you've not launched. You're trying to make everything ready at once for the users. While you're battling with the product for 5 years, they've moved on, they found something better in the market that is suiting their needs. And by the time your own solution is ready, it's not meeting anybody's needs. So having a problem statement help you to streamline the solutions that you want to focus on. So generate solutions, it's still about the ideation state, right? It's the ideate phase under the design process. So what you should not do is be in a hurry to submit your best idea for solving a problem. You have to be open-minded, think outside the box. Every idea is welcome. There's no crazy idea in design thinking. You have to be open-minded and consider all aspect of it, challenge assumptions, and create new ideas. So in this while thinking outside the box, you can also still consider what's in the market, right? See what others are doing. See, maybe based on the feedback you got from those you interviewed, you can come up with some crazy ideas that, oh, so person said this. The products in the market are not approaching it in that perspective. This is what I think I can do, right. And yeah, that might be the what you think it's crazy might be the best next thing out there that your users will fall in love with. So you've come up with a problem statement, you've streamlined the solutions you want to solve, and the next thing to do is to prototype your ideas. Like you need to get your product out there fast, so that you'd how will I put it? You'll be able to there's no product without the users. You need to get it out there to test for people to test your ideas. So that's where the prototype. So it's from that feedback that you would wireframe, for instance, or someone who has streamlined the someone who has streamlined the problems they want to address. So yes, you've settled for the solution you want to address, push it out there, achieve market fit first. Be sure that this solution I'm pushing out can achieve market fit. Then you can now start testing the other solutions that, okay, you start adding other features into the app, right? You don't want to keep working on multiple features that never go out. You test first, you prototype so that you can send it out to test and get feedback from the customers. So here we can see that the design thinking process is not a linear approach. So you prototype, take it out for tests based on feedback from real users that have tested the product. You come back to prototype the um, product if need be, or it might be that you've your solution is not market worthy and you need to start again from the empathize phase to come up with better solution. So basically that's that's a summarized form of everything that design thinking entails. I'm open to questions. If you have anything that you'd like to ask, please share so that we can all learn together.
All right. Thank you, Mayowa, for that. So this is an opportunity to ask questions. If you want to ask questions, um, please raise your hand and then you can unmute and ask
Or
your
if you
question.
have ideas that you want to share, because I know there are some design thinking gurus on the call too. So if you have contributions, questions, everything is welcome.
So Mayowa, there's a message in the chat.
Okay, let me see. Yeah. Can you throw more light on the prototype? So, okay. As I said earlier, the design thinking process is not just for the digital product development cycle alone. It can be for services or um, physical products, right? So, take for instance, based on our challenge, we decide to come up with an app for passengers or drivers to make use of. Your prototype will be like in digital format, right? Maybe a wireframe. So not you might be able to, depending on your time or the time you're working with, you might be able to push out a live product that they can work with, but not necessarily. You can come up with wireframes. Wireframes are like sketches of the actual things. Can be like a it can be a it can be a digital sketch in a form of way. You don't have to literally build everything at once and put it out there. It can just be a wireframe, form of wireframe. Everything is not ready. Maybe it's still in can still be in black and white. Something that they can work with. Something prototype is just something that you can work with and push out fast to test to get feedback from your customers. It can be, if it's a, how will I put it now? I also made an example of detergents, right? It can be that you produce your detergent, you don't come up with the branding. Yeah, say for instance, you are telling your users that this is the best thing since jollof rice. This detergent, if you use it, no matter how long you soak your Ankara inside, it won't it won't peel off. So something like that. It can be what you test within your team without putting it in the market. You've produced your detergent, just share it within your team members or factory workers to go and test at home and give you feedback. Oh wow, this thing worked. Like I soaked it for 7 days and the Ankara still maintained its color. Or they give you a bad feedback that, oh, it didn't even last up to 1 hour. My everything faded. So it's based on that feedback that you work with before pushing it out to the market. Same for digital products. Um you for some digital products, they will tell you that, oh, their product is in better phase, BETA, right? So there might be some people that have what do they call it? Maybe um they might have onboarded them just for the simple reason to test the product. So they won't push it out live that everyone can register on that platform, to just be a specific number of people that will help them test that product. So once they've confirmed that, oh, people are giving great feedback about this product, people love this product, or they come back and they have a few feedback that they should work on before they roll it out, they would work on those feedback that they've gotten before pushing it out or before launching the product or putting it out in the market. So that's what prototype is about. Like the fastest way to come up with your product, get feedback from your market or users or just a segment of that market that needs the project and needs the product, get feedback on from it and iterate based on the feedback that they've gotten before launching the product. I hope that's I hope I was able to answer that for you, Vanessa. Is it clear? Do we have any more questions? All right, Vanessa. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, I have a question, but it's to the people in the call.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, now we've talked about design thinking, and Maya, thank you very much for the session. It was really, really interesting. It was insightful. I got to see something that looks like as a user and as an arbor. Um, so now, how will you apply this design thinking to your daily life and the things that you do every day? When I had no idea of design thinking, I used to look at things from one perspective. But now, like I did some courses in design thinking, and it really helped me to understand product development. So now, but it's not just product development. You can also use it for anything, basically anything you're doing. And the person I wanted to ask this question was Blessing, but I think I'll just put it out to everybody. So do you how do you apply now that you understand have a basic understanding of design thinking? How do you think you can apply it to what you're doing? Um, just feel free to raise your hand and you can unmute. So let's just think about it. How do you think you can apply it to what you're doing everyday life and how you approach the challenges that come up, maybe at your place of work or your business? So I'm waiting. All right, blessing.
Okay, first off, why was it me that you said you were keeping the questions for?
And
Okay.
because a blessing to the meeting. Go on.
Okay, for me, yeah, I would say basically um design thinking is applying it is basically when, let me use for example the wig making for example. Now there are often sometimes where I get some type of hairs that is not something I've really worked with. Looking at that, they'll claim it's a human hair, but when they bring it, it's not really the human hair. So I basically need to sometimes look when I want to do, for example, let's say I want to revamp the hair now, and I've not really worked with that type of hair. I basically research, maybe go on YouTube to check people who have done different revamping methods to see which one I can adapt to doing that, working on that particular egg. So in that way, I will do the research, then gather some few things from the YouTube videos that I would now practicalize. That's the part of trying out the prototype thing. I practicalize on it, some part of the air to test it that it will really work before I now take the whole air so that I will not be in depth at the end of the day. So I'll now take like a small part of it to try out those things I've looked up and then see if it now works. Then I'll now take the initiative to dip the whole end to do whatever. So in that way, I think I'm applying design thinking because I basically have to research first, try and see, go through the research process, know how to incorporate it, then do the prototyping and all. Then if it's going to be in work, I think as a designer, when we are given a project to work on, we basically conduct research to see existing products, how they really work. Then what are the what are the things that are sorry, what are the things
Sorry.
that are wrong? What are the things that we can take from the existing product to improve on whatever one? Thank you, Myra. To improve on whatever project you are trying to work on. So that process, we follow the research. We try to empathize with our users. But like Mayowa said in the course of the session, it's not every time that we go through that research, then empathizing, personas, and all. So there are times that we skip doing personas because maybe the product is already existing. We just like do basic research and then we do start the wireframing and all, then prototype to test it out on the things, the design we've done. We will now test it to see, okay, is this really what our users want or not? So then meet with the stakeholders and all. So that way, that's how I apply in my own case design thinking process.
Thank you so much, Blessing. It's amazing that you do wig design and you also do product design. Keep it up. Yeah, and looking at it from your angle as well, let's say someone comes to you and says they want a particular wig style, and God knows I'm not the right person to make this comment, but it's fine. We are doing this for practical, and if I'm wrong, please, the ladies, don't beat me. Um, Someone comes to you and says this is how they want their hair to be. You first of all try to understand them. That's the empathy stage. And then as well, you're doing the define stage where you're trying to understand their problems and everything that they want. But the problem about this one is that it's an expensive prototype because some wigs are very expensive that you cannot just mess up and then you go back to the user and say that you're looking for feedback. So please, this is not a wonderful example. So we are going to go back to, like, let's say, making mobile phones. So um if you're building a mobile phone or building a mobile app, let's use mobile app, which is somehow cheaper, and we don't have a lot of attachments. You build, you start building your products. You understand the markets, just like everything Maya said. Understand the markets, take it out to a controlled group of people, take out a prototype to them. They try to use it. Then you gather feedback. Non-biased feedback is very, very important. Biased feedback will just mess up with everything you're working on. And when you get them, you go back, you reiterate. So when you're iterating, you're also doing you're collecting feedback, you're going back to the empathy stage, and just like my was said, it's not linear. You can go back from one place to the other. You can go from empathy straight to prototyping, and from prototyping back to empathy, then forward to testing, back to ideation. It's not linear, it's all around, but you go through all these stages, and that is when you get a good product. So thank you very much, Maiwa, for everything, for your class. Thank you for your time as well. And thank you everybody for your time. Please, before you leave the call, you can follow us on our social media channels. They are on the screen. And please fill out our feedback form. It helps us make the classes better. It helps us develop it helps us make the classes better. It helps us develop better courses. It helps us bring the right courses to you. And we know this is free. So don't worry. Just feel free to join our class and enjoy, have fun, learn something new that you will use. Most of us here are trying to build our own products. Most of us here are trying to build our brands. Most of us here are trying to build our profiles. So we'll be covering all of those things that will help you to move to your next stage in your tech career, your any career. We are not focused just on the tech career, but it will anything you learn here, you use it to get to the next stage anywhere you're going. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. We have come to the end of today's session. Please fill our feedback form. Fill it, fill it, fill it. Thank you for the applause. Some people have not clapped for me, and I won't hold it against you people. I will not kick you out. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Um, all right. So we'll call it an evening. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend, and everybody should try to rest, please. Thank you. The while I know they finish, first cast everything is hard, everything is hard. Please, guys, rest. Nobody said they rested. And rest and continue your week. Rest is important. Thank you very much. All right, bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you everyone for joining.